welcome to Park Podcast presented by DGA. I'm Mitch Phillips. Joining me is Zach Harrison. And on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the West Coast Tour's first stop, the OTB Open, where Calvin goes back-to-back in Elite Series starts. He's never done that before. And Ella Hansen wins her first Disc Golf Pro Tour event with maybe the best celebration ever in a winning. And later on, Sullivan Tipton joins us after his first ever top 5 finish. It's going to be an incredible episode. You're going to want to stick around to the end. Zach, how are you doing, brother?
Fantastically well, sir. Life is busy, so I'm currently dog sitting for my parents.
Oh,
great dogs. They're just yappy.
They're yapping.
So it's just a warning to everybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
Trigger for your dogs.
Yep.
There might be a dog in the background.
Yeah. If you've watched any of Anthony Barella's YouTube videos, it's pretty much like Cupcake. He's just yapping in the background. Pretty similar vibe.
Dude, and their hair looks a lot like Cupcake. It's like the big floofy white top. Yeah.
Just yapping, dude. They're just absolute yappers. Well, man, this was an incredible weekend. I was kind of, I feel like the disc golf community was a little bit shell-shocked a little bit when the news came out that this course at Swenson Park was going to be the home of the 2025 Champions Cup. I mean, the comments on Instagram, everything was just not good. People were upset. Top touring players were commenting that don't even usually use social media. Were coming out of the woodworks, and many likes of comments were coming through. So, but after this tournament, a lot of players loved it. The weather was amazing. We got an outlook of who plays well at this course, what style of course, this is. FPO, loved the course. MPO, I think there's definitely some changes that could be made here and there. But overall, what are your thoughts on the weekend? So overall.
It was fun, man. They use the golf course in a way that throws enough trees in there where you got to work the low ceiling shots. You still have to flex through some gaps and things like that. It is not WR Jackson. It's not Northwoods. So I think that's what really shocked so many people is that, golf course versus the most wooded courses on tour.
There was an expectation that Champions Cup is the wooded major. I think
be the wooded
kind of got used to.
Yeah. Because there aren't that many that really force that, right? You got to force that type of play. So, I mean, it opens it up to a completely different type of player.
Right.
And I don't know. I imagine everyone's going to come at it next year with a different mentality. We'll probably see more rollers, which it's cool. I think for some people, they're like, that's not exciting, but I still think it's an impressive thing to watch, even though they're just put it on the ground.
Yeah. If anything, I think there was more shot shapes thrown at this tournament than a couple of tournaments combined. I mean, the fact that you had most players were throwing forehand, backhand, and rollers off many tees. It was pretty rare you had someone throw a roller or throw a backhand or throw a forehand consecutive tees. It was switching it up every single shot shape from long par 5s to par 3. So I was pleasantly surprised at the course, and apparently there's going to be some other changes coming. But the atmosphere was amazing. If you saw anything on social media, the starting hole 1, there was a stage, a couch, hangout. There was a freaking saxophone player just going off on riffs.
Looked like a party.
People teed off. It was amazing.
It was cool.
Over 1.3 thousand spectators there, which was amazing. Apparently, there was super loud. The vibes were high. Those guys were having beers. But Zach, what are you sipping on tonight as we record this podcast?
It's an oldie, but a goodie. Anyone out here in Georgia knows Tropicalia.
Or in LA. They now have Creature Comforts LA. 100%.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yep.
Well, Creature is an Athens brewery, so they're out there in dog country. But man, this beer, when it hit the shelves the first time, it blew up. People were limiting purchases to 2 6-packs per person because they couldn't keep up with the demand. Since then, it's been copied a few times. It's just it's not super hazy per se. Like you could see through it. But it's just this really great, juicy, neutral, 6.5% IPA.
Yep.
6.6. Great beer. Easy to crush. It was what's in my parents' fridge. I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm going with it, dude. What do you got?
The owner of the brewery that I work at, Contrast, he actually was one of the people who helped make that beer. So super cool. And we have a couple IPAs that are similar to that vein. It's kind of a hazy, kind of a not, somewhere in between. But it's, again, like you said, I remember Kroger, the grocery store near me, got the beer on a Tuesday. And if you weren't there by Tuesday at 1 p.m., gone. Like, it was crazy.
Everyone wanted it.
Yeah, it was amazing. Well, I'm drinking something pretty special here. And that is, and this is, I was paid to say this. Our producer Gage said I need to say this. I satiate my thirst with the brews of my vanquished enemies. He is celebrating in the background with his fist up. I do not talk like that. I wish I did. We should talk like that more. But I am drinking the Carillon, I can't speak this language, from the Lost Druid. It's a Belgian style IPA, 7.7%. And it was from my good friend Michael over at Lost Druid. He's one of the brewers there. And the color on this thing is beautiful, this caramel color. I've never actually had a Belgian style IPA until this one. So
yeah. Does it come out? Is it like in the yeast? Does it taste
very
like
much
Belgian yeast?
It's a Belgian yeast for sure, but it's got a little bit of bite on the IPA. But I say that quote because as of yesterday, I and Contrast Artisan Ales are Brewers Cup champions, baby. This crazy shirt I have on from a group called Hop Passport that creates a passport to go to all the breweries in multiple states. They have over 1,400 breweries in the passport. Super cool. And they host a tournament in cities all over the country, and Dynamic Disc sponsors it. It's a super cool event. And I hit the winning putt to win the tournament on hole 18 with a sonar in my hand from about 40 feet. And it was absolutely one of the coolest moments of my disc golf career. Not sanctioned. Literally all that it means is we get a cool trophy and this wacky shirt that we can put in our brewery. So super cool moment. But yeah, that is the beer that I'm drinking. Michael, thanks y'all for missing your putt from 30. I appreciate it. Cheers.
That's brutal, dude.
I mean, he gave me the beer. I mean, it is what it is. But continuing on with this event, man, the FPO loved this course many, many times throughout coverage. And then also on Jomez, you heard from players on social media. This was a course that the scoring was finally comparable between MPO and FPO. I think that's been a big talking point of course design and how does it play for each field. And it was really cool. But we got to take all of this and know that the best players of the year are not here. Kristen Tatar, Evelina, Henna, they're not there. So still, a win's a win. I'll say that.
Absolutely. You can't take it away.
You can't. Ella Hansen wins her first DGBT event by 7 strokes.
Yeah, it's a huge win.
It was huge. And coming into the event, it was, the bestie battle, people were saying, between Ella and Holland. But it ended up being, Ella ran away with it. She went 37 holes in this tournament before she got her first bogey.
Wow.
Absolutely insane level of play from her. She plays well at this tournament every time, and she only went out of bounds one time. And my question is, as we kind of just, continue on with this, is will this unlock the fire to win more like it did for Anthony Barella? Will Ella Hansen find that fire and continue pushing forward with more tournaments?
I mean, it seems like she has everything it takes, right? Like we've seen her go from, she was an ultimate player, to throwing a disc like from the beginning, 450 feet. Yeah. Now she's targeting that, which 95% fairway hits in round 3. Overall, 89% fairway hits. Like she's dialing that in on a course that isn't easy, right? You can't just throw big bomb hyzers all day long. What I would like to see though is her putting improve, right? Like I don't think she can win unless her putting picks up. She only gained like 3 strokes total putting. So it's like
at this, in the moment though, her putting, when it mattered, when other people were missing putts, she was on. I feel like she's mastered the putt that's like aggressive, but also incredibly safe. And sometimes that can come in short. And this time it was just the right speed, the right height. And it was like a safe bid. And all those safe bids just happened to go in. So it was, kind of a weekend where everything came together. I hope that she does. I think the Ella versus Holland battle is definitely where we're headed. When Kristen and Evelina aren't there. I mean, that's where the stats are lying. I mean, if you saw the crazy thing from Disc Golf Fanatic, that was like, if FPO tournaments were all one tournament this year, it was like the top 6. And then there was a 38 stroke drop between 6th and 7th. Kristen had like a 25 stroke differential. And a lot of those, Ella, Holland, they were all within this pocket. So it's really these top players that are pushing forward. But Holland keeps putting herself in the position to win, but she's just not able to pull it together. It's
that final round, man.
Yeah. I mean, the stat here, what is it? 10-26 round 2 into a 9-10 round 3.
Yeah, she shot +3 in round 3.
Yeah, which is
hard to watch, right? Because like you're
yeah.
on lead card, you're watching your best friend absolutely shred. Meanwhile, you're having one of the worst rounds of the season so far. That's like really tough mentally. I feel like she held it together pretty well. You can see when she gets in her head, like especially on the putting greens, if she's missing or airballing, like she really does kind of come after herself a little bit. But you know, her caddy's there to kind of back her up. I think it's her boyfriend or partner. And so she's definitely getting it. But you're right. I'm curious to see if they can both climb and we see this on repeat when all of the ladies are back from the European section of the tour. Also, quick side note, just Kristen Tatar. Do you see that she like broke a rib?
What? I don't know anything about this.
She announced like an injury update. She like tripped over something in her house and she has, I don't know if it's broken, but it's like something is wrong with her rib.
Whoa. This just in, Ella Hansen wins the next 4 tournaments. That is crazy. Well,
but wild to think, right?
Yeah. I really hope that Kristen's okay because that's brutal. And ribs are something that heal slow and painful.
It's painful. Yeah. You can't even take deep breaths. So
no, not at all.
Definitely curious. More curiosity now that things are going to be shaken up.
Yeah. Well, coming off an injury as well this year, Paige Pierce. A lot of conversation around her. Will she come back? She's back in the top 5. All we had to do is California, where she has reigned champion for many times, many events. Huge final round from her, jumping up a lot of spots into the top 5. I mean, just the final round, really, the conditions were amazing all weekend, but this one specifically, Madison Walker, Paige Pierce, and Kat Mertsch all shot 6 down on the front 9. Natalie Ryan shot 8 down on the front 9. So, I mean, this course was just absolutely shredding, where in previous rounds, the back 9 is where people were really starting to light it up. But it was just fun to watch. I mean, it was a just absolute highlight festival, but it was still difficult and there were shots being thrown. It wasn't just like big open hyzer, cool putt. I think there was a good combination of stuff happening. So FPO, I was thoroughly just enjoyed. This is probably my favorite FPO tournament I've watched this year, just because there was so many different shot shapes and the players on the cards were playing so different on each hole.
They were having a blast too. Like these ladies were getting par frames, star frames, not par frames. And like you said, it is a highlight reel. Like they're just putting lights out. It's pretty incredible to watch. Like this, I would go back, even if you just want to watch highlights, just go watch the highlights of this tournament. There's so many FPO highlights throughout the event itself.
And Jomez did a really good job. I mean, you can't beat Two Hot Geese commentary. They did a really good job of chase card check-ins throughout this with FPO because there were some ladies lighting it up on the chase card, and we got coverage of that, which is always just really cool to see on the post round as well. So I think knowing that this is a Champions Cup preview, obviously Kristen's going to be here. Does this course suit well to Kristen's game in 2025? Of course.
Always.
Does it suit well to Evelina's game? Yes.
Definitely.
I think this is a course that Evelina would absolutely destroy. Same with Henna. 2 of the best throwers of the disc, Henna and Evelina. I believe Henna, the stat I heard on other podcasts I was listening to and interviews and stuff, she is obviously one of the best throwers of disc, but she is second in least OB on tour, I believe, which is insane. So, I mean, just throwing the disc incredibly well. So if you can do that on a course like this, I think it's going to be really cool to have a springtime major on the West Coast. First major since 2014 Worlds, I believe. There's a stat. It was something on the West Coast, something like that, right around 10 years ago.
Wow.
Don't trust me on that date, but I believe that's what I read. So super exciting on the FPO side. Let's jump into the MPO side here. Calvin Heimberg wins by 2, and I wrote this in our run through here. He's just a madman. When it matters, he is in a category with Macbeth, with Ricky, with one of the best players of our generation, and he's unstoppable.
And it's just the clutch gene.
Yes,
grows so much under pressure.
Putts when you're wild. Like he could lay that up. Nope, hits a 40-footer with perfect pace. And this was the course that he didn't throw that many rollers, and people were throwing rollers. He was, I'm back in Florida, on the other side of the country in my brain, and I'm going to throw 7-foot, just 480-foot shots. It was crazy. Without a forehand, he threw like a couple forehands on some up shots, anything under maybe 300. And when those forehands came out, he was leaving himself 45 feet. And then he was hitting the putt. Like it was crazy.
I think he's getting better because he hasn't been throwing the forehand, and he's really been working on these crazy turnover lines.
Yep, I agree.
That absolutely came out and he's learning just even more angle control. Like, believe it or not, like, could he learn more angle control? He's done it.
He continues to.
And that eagle will continue to just be one of the most insane frisbees on planet Earth. The way that he can just snap it for 400 feet and turn it into the circle one.
Speaking of players that just are continuing to grow, Gavin Rathbun, this tweet from Another Round, I love this. Joseph, if don't follow Another Round on Twitter, you definitely need to, on X. This is from Another Round. The Gavin Rathbun revenge tour is so real right now. The man has gotten back-to-back podium finishes. This marks his 4th top 10 finish this season. And it's just effortless. He's got the 2nd lowest OB rate on tour. He is absolutely on a revenge tour, and it's amazing to watch. It's so much power, forehand, backhand, unsponsored. He has, I think it's double eagle disc golf in like a shop in Florida with those wacky jerseys. But he was so close to taking down this. And honestly, anyone other than Calvin, he wins this tournament.
I mean, yeah, he was putting together incredible rounds, and like you could tell mentally he was ready to keep going and keep pushing.
Yep.
A couple of things like didn't really click. It was the putter. Nerves. The putter really got a little cold. But gosh, dude, like he is fueling his own fire right now, and you can tell like the dude is back for freaking vengeance.
I'd put him in my top 10 players on tour right now, for sure. Like, absolute, he is a top 10 player consistently on tour. And I mean, it's going to continue. Is he in the conversation with this next generation of players, with your Gannon Burrs, with your Niklas, with, the Gossage, some of those guys? Maybe, maybe not. With the Kyle Kleins, he's close, though. I think he's close. And I think it feels like even more because it's like he's unsponsored. He's doing this for him. He's pushing. He's not getting bonuses for getting podiums. Like, he's truly pushing, and he's going to get the contract he deserves. So I'm excited to see when that happens. But a couple other spots here before we continue on. We're going to have Sully join us here in a bit. Gannon Burr misses his top 10 for the first time since the United States Championships last year. Surprising. I think he was a favorite coming into this, as well as Anthony Barella. We're going to call it a slump. It's there. The coverage of round 1, errant shots, completely out of focus. His putting was good, but it was because it had to be, because he was leaving himself 40 plus feet on every putt. Yeah. It was weird. It was a weird vibe.
I mean, I will say he only missed top 10 by 1 stroke.
Was it 1 or 2? Something like that.
It was 1. Yeah. He was tied for 13th. If he had been 1 stroke better, it would have been tied for 10. Yeah, Gannon.
Yeah, I mean, stats don't lie though. People that top 10 run wasn't it Gannon and AB that were holding on to that longest top 10 run?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So kind of crazy to see. And I mean, huge shout out here. I mean, Randon Lotta, 13 under to jump 12 spots. It was effortless. The cuts they were having back to him on coverage was just like 60% 480 foot hyzer to 4 feet. And he told Zach Melton, he said, my game plan today is to put the disc as close to the basket as I can, so I don't have to putt. And he freaking did that. Like,
yeah, he parked a par 4.
Yeah,
like
just insane, absolutely insane. And it even showed on PDGA, they messed up on the scoring, and it showed him acing a par 4 at one point because someone clicked the number like too quick. And I had a screenshot of it, and I went, did he just ace a 700-foot hole? What the hell? Like, I was like, what is happening? I know he's good, but like, what? But I mean, seriously, what an amazing jump. And I'm just going to say this because it's true. Disc golf's better when Macbeth's at the top. It's more fun to watch. I think it's more viewers on our sport because people know the name. But struggle bus, second round of putting. Yeah. He couldn't throw a grape in the ocean. It was tough. It was a tough thing to watch towards the end of the first, or during the second round. But last thing we'll jump to here, Eagle, 13th place. And he put an Instagram post out here. And Zach, if you read this here, I mean, it's crazy. If you can read the stat here for us, because I can't read it without being frustrated.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So he says 60% power and breaking 400 feet with the forehand.
He's at 60% power and he's already breaking 400 feet.
So we're assuming that he's saying at 100% power, he's got like 600 feet.
I mean, I don't trust Eagle with math, but I don't trust any disc golfers with math. But I would say that he's easy pushing back over that 500, and that also means that he's healthy. So
yes,
yeah,
I would also say like the forehands I've seen him throw since he's come back from injury, they look very easy. He's slow. It's simple. The movements are very clean, and it just flies forever coming off of his fingers.
Yep.
So I'm not surprised. It is very frustrating. Very frustrating. Being someone who's like, yeah, I could throw 400 feet max power, flexing it,
after
50 feet wide.
After I just shot at a pre-workout powder right to the dome, like
smelling salts.
Goodness gracious. Well, overall, an incredible tournament, but finishing in his first ever top 5 finish on a Pro Tour event, Sullivan Tipton will join us when we return. You're listening to Park Podcast. We'll be right back. The newest putters from DGA are live over at discgolf.com in D-Line Swirl, but also we have limited edition ProLine Glow plastic that was released. Very limited amount of these made, and my goodness, they are gorgeous. They come in the blue and the pink. The stamp is awesome, designed over by yours truly, Mr. Gage Hamilton. And man, they look awesome. And the flight and feel, top of the line. Zach, I'm putting the Surf, the Sonar is beaded. It feels amazing. How's that thing flying?
It's great. Very stable. If you are the kind of person who likes to snap on a putter and really get into it, it is not going to roll and burn. It's going to fight through and really finish. So as a putter, very confident that the direction that putt's going, no matter what the wind, no matter how far you have to throw it, you can trust the putt.
Yep. And you put it in this ProLine Glow, and it's honestly being like a breaker to me. I don't know if I can forehand it, but it's close in stability. I threw the heck out of it this past week. Really excited about it. And the Surf, it's even straighter and even more torque resistant in this Glow plastic. So it feels amazing. The stamps are dope. Head over to discgolf.com and pick one up, or click the link in the show notes. Joining Parked Podcast now is your top 5 finisher, Mr. Sullivan Tipton. Welcome to the show, dude. How are you? How you feeling? Has it settled in yet?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for letting me be on here with you guys. It's super awesome. But it's feeling good right now. I'm actually back home in Birmingham, Alabama right now. Took a flight during the off week back home. So, but yeah, feels good. Good to be here.
That's awesome. That's not too far from us at all. We're over in Atlanta. So I've spent some time over in Birmingham. And you're on a disc golf course right now, it looks like?
Yeah, I was playing some disc golf with some local guys, lost track of time, and so now I'm doing it here at the disc golf course. Yeah.
Honestly, there's no better place, right? Let's be honest.
Right on, for sure.
And apparently no days off, because unless you took Monday off to fly home, but then you're just right back at it.
Yeah, pretty much just one day off, and then got back out here and started throwing a little bit again.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. Well, I want to read this quote from the players meeting email that came through. It's pretty funny, just about you and kind of how this last couple of weeks have been. Kind of sets us up for the rest of this conversation we'll have with you. Sully Tipton broke his right hand 6 months ago, and now he has just graduated college, hit the road full time, and earned his first elite top 5. This is the first week he was even throwing without tape all around his fingers. So it's been a pretty couple wild months, wild couple weeks. Talk us through what's been going on.
Yeah, so back in December, I broke my right hand pretty bad, and so I didn't throw for 2 months, and got back into throwing in February and just kind of worked my way with the pain and like the feel and the touch again. And so it was a lot, and doing all of that with school, and so it was my last semester of school, just graduated, and it's just like a weight just lifted off my shoulders, not going back to the disc golf course and going home and doing schoolwork that night, finishing up assignments. So I didn't have any of that stress on me that I had to think about. It was just all focusing on disc golf this week. And it was really cool. First time that it's kind of been like that in a long time. And it felt really good. The game, first time without tape on my finger, it was really nice. So, game was feeling pretty good again, because my last 2 finishes weren't that great, and a little frustrated with how I was throwing and playing, but it all came together this past weekend.
how did you break your hand to begin with?
Yeah, so I was just at school with some buddies, and we were just playing flag football. And, I thought, man, if I'm playing flag football, I might twist an ankle, something like that. And I was like, okay, at least it's just flag football, nothing crazy. But I'm going in to pull a flag, and some guy, he spun, and his elbow hit me in the hand, in my right hand, my throwing hand. And it just kind of, I guess the impact it came on in the right angle just broke it. It was the third metacarpal, so it's like the third finger bone in my hand.
Was it a radial like fracture? Did it spin your finger?
No.
Okay.
Not radial. It was pretty much, if the bone's sticking like this, it's kind of like sideways, like slanted. I don't know what it's called. Was it?
Yeah, I don't know, but I've that's a really common flag injury too. Just catching pants or catching a shirt and off it goes. So dang, dude. But I'm glad that recovery was quick and that, like, honestly, you're already getting that touch back, because I feel like that's probably the hardest thing to get back. And if I had to guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, distance was a little bit hard to get back. Still almost there, almost 100% with distance, and touching the feel, and kind of like your routine of like, okay, I've done this so many times. I kind of had to get back into the practice of doing all of that again. Of like, I've done this every day for like the past however long, and so getting back into that kind of natural like routine took some time too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this natural routine. I mean, what about this course really clicked for you? I mean, this is your second time you've ever been on a lead card from what we can tell. And I was actually there when you were on the lead card for USDGC, which is crazy. I got to watch that ace in person, which was just nuts. I mean, last time you were on a lead card, you aced. Did you think that you could ace going into this lead card? Was that in your mind at all? Where you're like, I got to go back to back?
It was in my mind. I was like, dude, I was like kind of like visioning another ace. I was kind of thinking like the island hole. The hole's at 12. I was like, okay, let's do that. But
that would be a sick ace. Oh my god.
I know. Yeah, I was trying to manifest it, but it didn't work. But yeah, no, it was really cool being back on lead card again. So,
did the
I'm
course?
Sorry, what was your question again?
Yeah. Did the course just like shape up well for your game and like what you feel good at?
It was kind of funny. Going into the tournament, I really didn't feel like it favored me, because I definitely am more of a woods guy for sure. I prefer the woods. I like playing the woods, and besides USDGC, all of my best finishes have been at Northwoods, at Champions Cup, at WR Jackson. And so I'm not really a huge fan of ball golf, disc golf courses, but really kind of going into the tournament, I was like, man, my goal was kind of like 5 down. I kind of had like goal in my head. I was like, okay, I really want to hit 5 down. I think I can manage that. And during the warm-ups, I'm just throwing a bunch of shots, seeing what I want to throw. Not really sure what I'm trying to shoot yet. But first round of the tournament, I started off pretty solid. I was like, okay, yeah, I can definitely get 5 down. And then I was like, I can shoot way better than 5 down. And it was during the first round. I was like, and it was during the first round where I really realized, I was like, this does really shape pretty well for me. There are a lot of big forehands out here that I can get that are tough for people who don't have a forehand, and so at the end of the tournament,
forehands, they just don't have your forehand. That's on every single tee. I believe, while watching coverage, you threw a forehand off of, I believe it was 16 tees.
Yep, that's right, because I had 3 backhands and one of them was an approach shot. So
that's pretty sweet.
I had a little counter while I was watching the coverage. I was like, but also your backhand is nothing to scoff at. You parked the freaking heck out of hole 1, 480, and just with ease.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I used to throw backhands like all the time, and I have a pretty decent backhand. There was just a time, I feel like 3 years ago, where I really started to realize that my forehand was pretty good, and I enjoyed throwing it a lot. And it was kind of a little bit easier for me to like pinpoint it. And so I just kind of, those 2 options that I could throw, I started picking the forehand over the backhand, and eventually it just became my dominant throw. And I haven't leaned on my backhand as much anymore, but when I need to, I can break it out.
Was there something that like clicked with the forehand? You said you were throwing a lot of backhands. Was there something where it's like, if I can just do this, or if it feels like this, it's better?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. So my first year of disc golf, when I was like 11, I only threw forehands, and so I didn't have a backhand at all. And then, I was like 12, and I was at like a little league, and some guys like, "Hey, you should really like start working on your backhand." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, maybe I'll start working on it." And that's when I started doing backhand all the time. Start really working on it. But I can't remember. There was like a day or something that really clicked with my forehand. I just kind of started choosing it more for especially like placement shot disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, if I was really trying to set up my shot somewhere, that's when I would throw my forehand because I could pinpoint it a lot easier. And then I just found out like, okay, a lot of it's and on the pro tour is put it here and then your second shot, is one that
Yeah.
matters. So for a lot of setups is what I would use.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a different style of golf on the pro tour. I mean, even some courses, like, I mean, even watching coverage, I'm like, man, I need to bag that disc because, like, what if I need to, get to? But I'm like, none of the courses we play, I mean, Birmingham, Atlanta, and some of that, it's pretty rare you're going to have multiple holes on a course where you're going, I need to throw 400 feet, land here. Then I need to throw 360 and go here. It's like, no, you're throwing a driver off the tee and then you're throwing a putter in, like almost every time. So it's such a different thing. But let's talk about the vibes and just the excitement of being on lead card. Like, what is that like? You've played a ton of tournaments, but what is it like on lead card? Vibes, nerves? What's it like?
Yeah, it's really cool. I remember my first time being on lead card, at USGCA. I mean, it was so nerve wracking. I didn't know what it was like, but after like 3 holes, like it was gone. It was just like I was playing disc golf again. And really, at this tournament, I didn't really like feel super nervous. It was weird because I really felt more nervous round one because I had such a slow start to my year and I just really wanted to have just a good tournament. And so I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to like have a good tournament. And I felt a lot of nerves going into round one. But round three, I was like, okay, I've already had a good round going, there's people watching. I'm already here. Let's just have fun today, throw some good shots and, give people, a show hopefully.
That's
Yeah, the
sick, man.
spectators were incredible. I feel like the energy just from that alone.
Yeah, they were great. There was a ton of people out there, and so and I kind of thrive off like their energy. I enjoy when they get hype after a throw. I really
Heck
feel
yeah.
like it gives momentum going on, and so I like to perform for people too, and gives me an extra boost sometimes. I feel like.
What was going through your head when you stepped up to that putt on hole 18 in round 2, knowing like, did you know that if you make the putt, you're on lead card?
No, I had no idea actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because round one, I did not look at scores when I played, and I had a good round. And second day, I was like, okay, I'm playing really good. I'm not gonna look at scores again because I'm just gonna play my game. I don't care what anyone else is doing. And so I made that putt. I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, let's go. Like I just birdied this, and I was like, okay, oh, like top 4 right now. Like I'm in third place. Like, oh man, like okay, but there's like 2 more cards coming in. I looked at who was coming in. I was like, okay, Paul, Gannon. I was like, okay, the only one that could catch me is Paul, but I'm still gonna have the higher like score for the day or like lower score for the day, so it wouldn't matter.
I want to stop at that. The phrase, the only one who could catch me is Paul. How does that feel coming out of your mouth?
I mean, they only had like 3 holes left, and so, but no, yeah, that's pretty cool to say, but yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool moment. All the guys were like hyped up after that round, like we're all high fiving. We all got some food, and yeah, it was a cool feeling again.
That's awesome. And you come into the final day, and your confidence looked like it was there from the start. I mean, parking the hole out of the gate, and then after 9 holes, you were only 3 back. Was there ever a moment? I mean, you were on the chase, even though you were on lead card. You were chasing Calvin. You were chasing. I mean, Gavin had an incredible tournament. Being on that card and knowing in your mind, did you ever think I could win this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's goal going into a tournament is to win the tournament. And third day, I was 3 strokes back, and I was like, okay, like I can win this tournament. My goal going into was like I'm still gonna play my game that I have from the very start of round one. Like there's some holes out there that I'm playing for par because I can get in some real danger if I try to do too much, and I don't want to take a bogey. And so there's some holes that I play for par, and I knew it was like, okay, but if I capitalize on some of these other holes, I can shoot really, really well at here. And so that's what I stuck to the whole day. It was playing my game, not worrying about what everyone else is doing. And if I can come out there with a really, really hot round, I know I could get it done. And so, yeah, it was pretty close that weekend. It was pretty close. Had a couple, like 2 missed putts. Those are my only putts I think I missed that week. C1 was the last day. But
That's insane.
yeah, and so it felt good. But yeah.
Are you switching putters on certain shots? Because I noticed you were throwing the sonar a couple times, and then were you putting something like a white putter or something like that? I noticed on certain times, or what's the mentality and thought behind that?
Yeah, it just depends. I really got 3 putters right now. I've got if there's wind, I've got some old beat up CT Lunas I'll just spin in there. I've got a steady BL that I'll throw when there's a little bit of wind. And what you saw on those like kind of more upshots, the orange one, that's a sonar. And so wind and anything that I just really need to push out there, I'm throwing that sonar. But it just depends whether it's kind of windy or not windy when I switch kind of in between my 2 putters. But yeah, they're both white, and so just spin them in there.
Yeah. Is that weird going from beaded to beadless, like in the hand, or they're about the same height and like it's just?
Yeah, I mean it's for the steady BL and the Luna, they're kind of like the same. It's just the stability is different. So it just depends on the wind for me. So because if it's the wind, I can put them the exact same. But in the headwind, the steady BL will just do way better. And so that's what I like that for. And that's what you saw on most of my putts probably. And then the sonar, I kind of have a different style of putt when I'm jump putting or kind of laying up like that. And so it's pretty easy to kind of switch to that putter.
Cool.
That jump putt you did on hole 12
in
the final round. I was watching a replay of it, and you get these like twinkle toes, like you're on your both of your toes, like you're ready to just like pounce.
And you get that kick out at the end is like,
Is that, I mean, do you usually stand like that for your jump putts too? Because I know there was OB right behind you.
Yeah, anything outside circle 1, I'm straddle jump putting.
Nice.
If I'm really running the basket, I am gonna straddle jump putt it. And so that's kind of like my mentality. I'm just going dead center, confident putt. But yeah, the leg kicks depends on like if it's a little left, my back leg's coming up to the right. If it's a little short, I'm leaning back and the front foot's going up this way.
The body English, man.
Yeah. Have you watched, or do you watch coverage of yourself?
It was funny. Like I do sometimes. Well, I do. Yeah.
Have you watched Gomez from that final round?
Yeah, I actually hadn't watched it until I went by like my local disc golf shop this morning. They're like, "Hey, have you like watched the coverage yet?" I haven't yet, and so we watched it in the disc golf shop this morning.
Yeah,
so
it was
pretty cool.
What's that like to watch yourself and like hear commentary about yourself and Yuli laughing at you with your toes? And are you just like, what the heck, man? What are you saying about me? Or is it? Are you watching it and you're like, oh, that's kind of cringy?
No, I mean it's cool to like. I remember like watching Jomez or like even like Spin TV when I was younger, and and then I was on a card with Calvin and Gavin and Ezra, and so it's really cool like being with those guys and watching like me next to them throwing as well. But yeah, Yuli and Zach on the commentary. I mean those are my boys too. Like I'm pretty good friends with them. Like we play pickleball together, and I was like, okay, I know they're not going to trash me on here, so. I felt pretty confident they'll like be nice to me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk pickleball. I mean, you brought it up here. I gotta ask, are you living a double life? Like, is there some Hannah Montana vibes here? Like, you have an entirely different Instagram for pickleball, which Gage and I just found out literally 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Are you pursuing both? You're doing giveaways? You're a pro? What's happening?
Yeah. So, no, it's kind of funny. I just kind of do that for fun outside of disc golf. Like my main focus is obviously disc golf, but out of like the other you know, besides like however long I play disc golf during the day, I'll go play pickleball. And so like when I go to each city, like Sacramento or, you know, Peoria, Illinois, like I join the Facebook group chat of their pickleball, and I'm like, look for guys that are pretty good. We get good games in. And so I had like 3 times I went and played pickleball in Sacramento with some guys that were good. But I played collegiately at my school in Florida with my roommate. And so we got a bid to nationals.
For pickleball?
For pickleball.
What? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. And so it was pretty cool.
Did you go to nationals?
Yeah. So nationals is in October, and we both graduated. And so.
Oh, so you can't go.
Yeah, we had to have 6-hour credits, but we both graduated. So,
Dang.
But our school still has the bid, and so my little brother and his partner is gonna go.
Nice. Oh, dude, that's awesome! You can hand it down.
Yeah, but no, yeah, pickleball is good. It's like my side gig right now. So besides disc golf, I just became like a sales rep for a pickleball company, and so I'll be getting some paddles pretty soon and like
what
selling
company?
these like. It's called Yola. Joola.
I'll have to grab some.
People play pickleball. They'll know that. But kind of like the paddles I've been using.
Dang, can you hit us up with some paddles here? Are we trying to? I mean,
absolutely, yeah. So
Sweet.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. On tour, I know there's a lot of other players, disc golf players, who play pickleball. What we're curious to know is who is the best on tour and who is the worst, but still gets out there and plays.
Let it rip. This is your stage. Call them out.
Well, there's some good pickleball players out there. For the most part, most of them are casual pickleball players. Like when I'll say like, you know, like, are you a disc golfer? Like a lot of people are like casual disc golfers. That's how most of them are. But you know, like Zach Melton's really good. Tristan Tanner's really good. You know, Aaron Gossett doesn't play much, but he has like a tennis background, and he's pretty decent too. Paul McBeth, you know, he's pretty good. He hasn't played as much recently. But yeah, there's some good guys out there. But if anyone was at Emporia, there's like courts right next to it, and that's where like a ton of people go to play. And most of them are pretty casual about it.
Do you want to call anyone out for a match you've been waiting on here on the air?
No, I mean, at this point, like most of them, like we can get good games going, and yeah, I mean, if like bring your own partner, we could get some good games for sure.
But who is the worst of all the people that you know play? Like who's just like maybe they should stop?
I'll say this because I know he'll laugh, but Kevin Kiefer, if you're watching.
Nice.
Get wrecked.
I'm always saying that because he's like one of my best friends on tour, and I've told him he needs to work on.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Well, let's circle back to disc golf a little bit. You were in New Zealand earlier. Talk us about that. What was the reason to go there? I mean, some of the pictures, some of the stuff going on were amazing. Tell us about why you went there. What was the I mean, that trip's crazy. Just go to New Zealand.
Yeah. So I skipped 2 weeks of school to go to New Zealand, and I really wasn't sure if I was even going to play out there because before the trip, I hadn't even really started throwing disc yet, and I kind of like a week before I kind of started throwing backhands, and so I went out there. Side note: New Zealand was always my number one want to visit country. And not because of scenery and not because of disc golf, but because of fly fishing.
Oh,
wow.
I thought you were going to say Lord of the Rings because that's a lot of people's answer.
Right. But I've been fly fishing for since I was 10 years old. And it's one of the most world renowned fly fishing destinations in the world as far as trophy trout. And so I knew, okay, if I'm going to New Zealand, I'm going to go fly fishing. That's why I want to go down there. But I got to go because of disc golf, which was really cool. And so I went down there, not sure if I was going to play. And I dropped the first tournament that I was down there because I wasn't ready. I couldn't throw forehands yet. And then eventually my hands started to feel a little bit better. And I played the last event down there. And it ended up being pretty solid if you watch like the GK Pro Skins match, I didn't throw any forehands in it. It was all backhands. I maybe did like one little up shot, and that was the tournament I skipped. I was throwing backhand, but no forehands yet. I just really wasn't comfortable. It was hurting. But somehow by the next week, I started throwing a forehand. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play this event and see how it goes. And it was pretty solid. I mean, beautiful course out there. I mean, unreal scenery. Yeah, I mean, got the opportunity to go out there. I was like, let's just go, make a little vacation out of it.
Did you catch yourself a trophy trout?
So the smallest fish I caught in New Zealand would have been my biggest trout ever in the U.S.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. So I ended up fly fishing a good bit down there. And if anyone like fly fishes who's listening to this, I caught like a 26-inch brown. And it was massive. And like my forearm was hurting from like holding it on the rod. And it was just like a fly rod has no drag system. So it's just running the line.
Yeah.
And it was just unreal. I mean, that's why, like, they said, I saw a comment on my post where it was like, he came here for disc golf, but it's going to come back because of the fly fishing.
Love it.
And, it's kind of a cool comment that I saw.
Yeah.
But, man, that's awesome.
But the disc golf was, it was sweet. Definitely number one country I've been to. It was surreal.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Wow.
With fishing, I played a tournament this past weekend with Danny Beauchamp, 2 rounds, and he was saying, I was I have Sully on the podcast. I was like, what should I ask him? And he said to get you to talk about fishing. So he said you guys were playing some basketball and fishing up at Worlds last year. So that's super cool. So there you go, Danny. We talked about fishing. You're welcome, bud.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Worlds, like there's like a little creek that runs through Brewster.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the round, I would go to the van and get my fly rod and walk up and down the river and fly fish and get some trout.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So fun, man. That's awesome.
So other than this, I mean, there's so many things with disc golf. We've been told by some sources that you're a guy who's just kind of good at everything, whether it be pickleball. I mean, kendama, you just pick up a kendama and just shred a kendama, apparently. Basketball. But chess, what is this? You were like the president of a chess club or something? What's this?
Yeah, I was the vice president of our college's chess club. Yeah, it's kind of funny. My roommate was the president, and I got into it like early in college. And if whenever we're in the room, if anyone walks into our room and we're sitting down, we're probably watching chess on the TV, which is pretty funny. So I got pretty big into chess, and so when chess.com happened and Magnus Carlsen was there, like we told like my roommate and all of his friends from Indiana flew down for the event, not to watch us play disc golf, but for the chess. It was crazy. And we like told some of our professors, and like our math professor came out to the tournament, and brought his family. But it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. That's a bridge you don't expect to see. Disc golf and chess. That's so cool.
Yeah. It was like so random one day where it's like, we just saw the post and me and my friend look at each other and we're like, are you serious right now? Like chess and disc golf together? 2 of our worlds coming together. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so awesome. Yeah. I think there was a lot of people that we were like, they play chess? Yeah. But I mean, I don't know of anyone else that had their freaking college professor fly down with his family to come. That's awesome, dude. And would they have ever come to a tournament other than that? So like, did they get to see you play as well?
Yeah, they did get to see me play, and now they're from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they came down to the Idlewild and watched last year. And so like they've seen disc golf before. And so they knew what to expect a little bit. Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Florida College in Tampa, Florida. It's a small private Christian school.
Yep. My girlfriend's family's all from Tampa. I know exactly where that is.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so Kevin Kiefer's little brother goes there. I'm trying to think. There's some like local disc golfers in Tampa that go there. There's a guy named Aiden Bassett. He's like AB Disc Golf on Instagram. but
Cool.
he went to FC. Yeah, so there's a lot of disc golfers there.
I was actually talking to a buddy of mine today, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know a guy who's friends with Sully. Do you know Nick Machuga?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, oh, he's good buddies with Sully. They met down in Tampa. So I was wondering, when I saw that you're from Alabama, I was like, how is he connected to Tampa at all? But this makes so much sense.
Yeah, he went to USF, which is like 5 minutes from us. So we're right there.
That's so cool. Well, while we're talking friends and stuff, Jeff Johnson is a good friend of mine.
Nice.
He actually did our other host, Hayden Ricard. He did his wedding, and so Jeff is a good friend of mine and got into disc golf and stuff. So he lives 5 minutes from here. So I grab dinner with him every now and then. Such a good human. So
yeah, Jeff texts me every single before my first round, and so
that's awesome.
He's like my hype man.
Yeah, shout out Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Love it. Well, let's talk discs here. I actually got a couple questions from the DGA Discord. I don't know if you're on there or not, or if you're a gamer on the Discord or anything, but got some questions here from the Discord. This is from Zach over on Discord. It looks like you're bagging the Hurricane and the Force. When do you use each and why?
Yeah, so like Force, if you see a stand up, where I throw on hyzer and it stands up and starts to flip, that's my Hurricane. And so I'll do that on quite a bit of the holes. If you see the side flex one, that's the Force. And that's just because the Force is beefier, and I probably chose that one because there's a big headwind.
Okay.
And now if I have a tailwind and I'm doing the stand up, and that's when I'll pump out the Hurricane when I need to go a little bit further. Like the stand up one is when I'll pop out the Hurricane. And that's like that purple one that y'all saw in coverage a little bit. That's the Hurricane. And so it just depends on like the shot and the wind.
Okay. And you're also bagging for backhand. I think you threw a circle stamp Hurricane on hole one. Yeah. So how are those flying comparable to the stock ones? Because for me, they push a little bit more, but I'm not parking a 480-foot hole on hole one on the lead cart. So a little different.
Yeah. They're a little bit not as stable, And so I can really pump those on hyzer, get them to stand up and really glide so if I need like an extra 30 feet of distance, I'm pumping out. I have 2 of the circle stamp Hurricanes, and that's when I'm grabbing those and really pushing them. And then I've got one of my Tour Series in that I'll use for like chop forehands a lot. That's just crazy beefy.
Okay, so I was about to talk about that because we got one right here. So
there we go.
There you go. I posted a video throwing it not too long ago. Man, this is such a fun run of Hurricane. Talk about this stamp. Talk about having a tour series. What's that like? What was it like designing a stamp? Obviously, you went pickleball.
Yeah. I mean, the stamp came out so sweet. When they asked me, "Hey, we want to put like a hobby of something that you enjoy on the stamp," I was like, "Okay, sweet. Let's do pickleball." That's like my other side thing that I really like to enjoy, doing stuff with. And it came out great. I love it. And so putting the two together, I ended up going to a Major League Pickleball event 2 weeks ago, and I was going to a bunch of all the pros, and I was like, hey man, like giving out my disc for them. And so
with the stamp.
Yeah, with the stamp.
I was like, heck yeah.
It's a pickleball stamp. They're like, no way. And one of the guys, his name's Jack Sock. He was like a big tennis player. He was like a former like men's doubles tennis player, like well respected within the, what's it called, the APP? I don't know what their thing is. ATP maybe? Yeah, there we go.
ATP, yeah.
And he's like, no way, dude. Like I've always wanted to get into disc golf. Like now I have a disc to do it with. I was like,
boom,
right, dude. Well,
and some of those guys can probably rip forehands.
Yeah,
like some of those tennis guys just smack a Hurricane on a forehand.
Yeah, so I was like, man, I hope I didn't give him the wrong disc to start off with, but maybe we'll see.
That's so cool. What's it like meeting other pros from, I guess pickleball isn't as much like a niche sport as much as it used to be, but is it cool being able to connect with other guys who are like at the top of the game? Because you're one of the best in the world at disc golf, and going to meet other, guys in pickleball. What's that like to connect on that?
Yeah. It's really cool because I felt like a fanboy out there, It was like roles have kind of like reversed a little bit. And so I know how a lot of guys feel. I was like, oh, dude, like, I watch this guy on YouTube all the time. He's so good. What do I say to him? Stuff like that. And so, they were like really cool about it. And so, like, I understand like this perspective too. So, like, if any of y'all like just come up to me or any of the pros, like we really like all for it. And so, It's a really cool perspective to see and to watch. But it was really sweet.
Yeah. That's got to be humbling to be like, oh wow, like people want to know me, and you're like, I'm a guy who throws frisbees in the woods. Like, do you think coming off of this and being on lead card and stuff like that, heading into other tournaments, I mean, are you signing signatures? Are you doing that? Has some of that stuff kind of started? And if so, is it weird? Like, are you used to that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like all kind of like escalated after USDGC. People started to know me a little bit more, and then after this one, it was like everyone, like there's like the signing booth, after you finish your round. Last year, like you'd watch, all the big names go there and kind of sit down, or someone who had a really good round sit down, and people, and it was funny. Last year, like I didn't really like go to the signing booth because like, okay, like there's other people that they want, and then like even after round 2, there was a signing booth. I was kind of like walking away with it, and they're like, "Sully, like, are you coming over here?" I was like, "I can, I can if I want." And it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
kind of like people like know me a little bit more now. Definitely like a really cool thing to see. But yeah, just having a lot of support out there for a lot of guys. So I'm glad a lot of people enjoy watching the forehands.
it's smooth, man. It's easy to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely cool to think about. Like, we're all just guys, we're just dudes that just sling a disc a little bit better.
Yeah, just a little bit, Mitch. Just a little bit better than us.
Small amount. Yeah.
So for the rest of the season, obviously we have some pretty cool events coming up. Are there any courses that you are like really looking forward to, or like specifically that just fit your game?
Yeah. Obviously, the woods, up at Milo at Beaver State, I'm really excited for. I've never been up there, and so I'm pumped for that. Obviously, I'm super excited to go back to Vermont.
Oh yeah,
that
Smugs.
place is just disc golf destination. Really, I love it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going back to Europe for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
Heck yeah. You qualified for European Open with this finish. What is that feeling like? Like, man, like, I mean, like you said, you watched Spin TV back in the day, and you're like, dude, I get to go play European Open. Like, is this the first time you've ever played that one?
I played it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went. I went for 1 week.
I
went for 1 week last year to Finland, and it ended up being. So I was going to be there for 7 days, and it ended up being 5 days because my flight got canceled when I was in the airport. I had some buddies that picked me up in Dallas. I finally get over to Finland, and my luggage is gone, so I didn't have any luggage for the whole week.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Yikes,
so
dude.
Paul Macbeth gave me some polos to wear, and had to go buy some underwear and shorts. I bought 2 days worth, and I would just wash it every day.
Did they cover that at least? Did they pay for it?
They did. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you got your discs, use those as carry-on, I assume.
Oh yeah, I would never check those. Just even stuff going on, I was like, you can't bend them, and
yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for Norway and Estonia because those are 2 places I've never been, and just to see like another country, I'm really, really excited for that.
Are you playing any tournaments other than the European Open?
Yep, I'm playing Krokel Open in Oslo, Norway, and what's it called, the European Disc Golf Festival or Estonia Disc Golf Festival in Estonia, and so I'll play that one as well.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's I mean, that's a dream. That's literally bucket list, like being able to go play in those places. That's insane.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, it's weird because this is only like my 3rd DGPT event of the year. And but yeah, it's cool because I'll be at pretty much every single event after this. So
okay. And are you touring in a van, or do you just Airbnb in, or are you with a couple of guys? What's the tour life been like? Like you said, it's your 3rd one, so you're trying to figure out what the flow's like.
Yeah, so me and Micah Groth are in a van together right now, and so it's his van, so we're driving up there. But we pretty much find host homes everywhere we go, and so like in Sacramento, last week at OTB, like we stay with some people that I went to school with at Florida. They live up here.
Oh, wow.
And stay at their house, and it was incredible. You know, we had a pool, like a whole room to ourselves. It was really nice. And luckily enough, like there's a lot of people from my school that don't live in Florida and live in other states. And like one of my roommates lives in Minneapolis. And so like for Preserve, we stay at his house. And so, yeah, we usually find host homes pretty much everywhere. So it's been fortunate.
Pretty clutch.
Host homes are cheaper than Airbnbs, I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yep, a lot cheaper.
And you just pay them in plastic, I imagine.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, here's my hurricane.
Like
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
That's a good trade. I would host you. If I guess I would have to be closer to IDGC. We're kind of far. I was gonna say you could just stay at my house, but you don't want to drive 3 hours. So.
That's bad.
Not too bad. What is one disc in your bag that you're leaning on? I mean, you were with Discraft last year, so some of the switch wasn't as too difficult. You're able to keep some a mold here and there. But what's a disc in the DGA lineup that surprised you, that you were like, I was excited to throw this, and it's kind of what are you leaning on?
It's kind of crazy. Well, I knew the Hurricanes were gonna be go-tos for me, and they've been great. I would say the Quake has just been unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm not really like powering my zones anymore, really. I don't have to throw them super hard. I'm just going to throw a Quake the same way and get the extra 50 discs that way. Quake has been amazing. And the most surprising one to me is the Squall.
Let's go. That's what I wanted to hear. Yes.
Yeah. It was the one that surprised me the most. Because I never really heard about it, never thrown it, never really seen anyone throw it. And they sent me it in my box, and I still had my broken hand then, and so I was just throwing stuff left hand, and it's a pretty straight mid, and I was like, okay, this like flies really good with my left hand. I was like, and it feels really good, but I was like, I don't know, it's not gonna be great for my right hand though. Started throwing my right hand, I was like, this thing is a dream, eyes are in the woods, stand up, don't have to like force it over. It was just, and like in the woods, like in New Zealand, I broke that out a lot, and it was the one that surprised me the most for sure.
Yeah, you and I were messaging on Instagram about that, and I was like, "You're only throwing the stock runs? Like, no, you need more." I tagged you on that thing on DGA all day. Did anybody ever reach out to you and hook you up with some older squalls?
So I did see those. There was a guy that hooked me up, and so I don't have them in the bag. I still have the same stock run of squalls I'm using right now, but they hooked me up with some squalls. Got some of the Midnight Flyer ones as well.
Ooh.
But then they hooked me up with some old Aftershocks too.
Yeah.
So one of those Aftershocks in the bag as well. Actually,
that's awesome.
I'll show y'all just because it's like really cool. But
yo.
Oh, that is sick.
World Championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are those the flat ones that are like really sticky? They're like kind of like almost like fingerprinty?
Yes. Yeah, they're great.
Yep. I bag one of those as well. I love it. That's awesome, dude. Well, Zach, do you have any other questions for Sully before we let him go?
Here's just a random personal question.
All right.
Kind of in the form of two questions. All right. If you have any habits, what would you say is like your best habit? And what would you say is like your worst habit?
This is a funny habit. I don't know. I guess you can kind of call it a habit. If it's a round, I eat Jersey Mike's before every round.
Is that
hashtag
a
ad? I mean, are we trying to get sponsored here?
I don't know. I mean, I just love Jersey Mike's, and it makes me feel good. And I get it Mike's Way, and it's
okay. Which sub do you order?
I do the club sub.
Club sub, Mike's Way.
Number 8. Yep.
There you go.
That's a classic.
Jersey Mike's, feed this boy. Feed him.
That's really funny, dude. That's hilarious, actually.
So yeah, that's definitely a habit. And what was it, like a non-habit or something, or a habit?
There's like something you feel like is a bad habit. Like if you could get rid of it, you would probably get rid of it.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I really don't know. I would have to like really think about something.
I really wanted you to say also Jersey Mike's.
It might be that too. It really could. Yeah, I'm probably spending too much money on Jersey Mike's, but.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna that's a social clip right there, and we're gonna tag Jersey Mike's, get you some free Sammys.
Yeah, all the guys that stay with me, they know, They
That's
know
so
about
funny,
my
man.
Jersey Mike's. So
That's hilarious.
Are you finding them everywhere?
Yeah, pretty
you've been
much.
so far.
Okay. There's definitely been one place where they did not have a Jersey Mike's, and I almost feel like I'm cheating if I ever go to like another sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't go to the Subway. I was like, no, dude, like I'm so dedicated to Jersey Mike's. Like I kind of refuse to go to any other sandwich shops. But if I do, like I try to build my own sandwich to make it fit my Jersey Mike's sandwich.
Dang.
I love it.
Jersey Mike's a big thing in Birmingham? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, I actually didn't start eating it until like 2 years ago.
This is incredible.
Yeah, like one like popped up right by our school like 2 years ago, and we went there and we're like, dude, like this is amazing. Like we've been missing out.
Yeah.
And it just I ate at one tournament, I think at like Ledgestone 2 years ago, and I did really well. I was like, all right, Jersey Mike's, let's go.
We're keeping it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the best habit I've ever heard.
There is a Jersey Mike's 0.3 miles from my house.
Oh, you lucky dog.
So I just looked it up. So I will go there tomorrow for lunch in your honor. And
you're gonna get a number 8.
I'll order your sandwich,
Mike's
number 8, Mike's Way, and I'll tag you on Instagram, and I will.
But here is the funny thing. Here's the funny thing is that Mitch is one of the pickiest eaters that I know.
You're vegan. What are you talking about?
That's a choice, dude. That is a choice. I choose not to eat meat. That's fine. But listen,
you knew me back in high school when I was picky. I'm not picky
dude.
anymore.
I've ordered a sandwich for you before, and you're like, don't let them put any mustard on that sandwich.
I don't like soggy bread,
I don't want lettuce. I don't want tomatoes. I'm like, what are you gonna put on?
This is all the time we have. Thank you guys for joining us at Park Podcast.
Oh, that's funny.
Hating on my sandwich things.
Yeah. I'm gonna be shocked if you actually order and eat that sandwich.
I'll eat the whole thing. I'll go on Instagram Live and I'll invite you, Sully, and I will break it down and you'll tell me exactly what to do with this sandwich.
Hey, well, I'll help you out. I go no onions and no mayo on it.
You see, Zachary.
All right.
If it was grilled onions, I would keep it on there.
I feel you. The raw onions.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Nothing that goes away. I agree. Yeah. That's good. Oh man, that's incredible.
This has been awesome. Thanks for doing this, Sully.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Dude, thanks for joining us, man. Seriously, what an incredible tournament. Soak it in, take a breath. Man, you're killing it. We're stoked to see you at the top, and well deserved, man. It's going to keep pushing forward, and hopefully Europe goes well. Are you headed to Portland in 2 weeks?
Yep. I'll fly out Sunday night.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. Well, that's going to be a blast. Enjoy it. Thanks for joining us, and I'm serious. I'm going to Jersey Mike's tomorrow.
Sweet. Right on. Hey, I'll go with you.
Hey, come on.
I'll get it for lunch.
You said you're flying out Sunday? We'll meet halfway, Atlanta to Birmingham at a Jersey Mike's. You
guys can go play Hobbs, dude.
We could probably meet in Carrollton, honestly.
That's probably halfway.
Hold up. We're searching this. If there's one there. I hope there is one there. This is incredible.
Have you ever played Hobbs Farm in Carrollton?
Yeah.
Amazing course. I was talking with a guy today just to plan a weekend to go and play it like a couple times in a row. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it all this year.
I think it was either my second or third ever tournament was at Hobbs Farm.
Wow.
Really?
Yep.
Crazy.
Great course.
It was like the turkey hangover or something. It was like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Little awesome. Flex start.
Did you win?
Awesome.
I think there was only 2 people in the division, so I think so. Yeah.
All right. There is a from Hobbs Farm to a Jersey Mike's is 13 minutes.
I
think it's happening, Mitch.
I'm just saying. Hey, well, maybe not this week, but let's make it happen. Let's play Hobbs Farm and let's freaking do it.
Hey, I'll at least grab Jersey Mike's around here and post it with you for lunch.
Let's do it. Brother. Yeah. We appreciate you. Thanks for the laughs, and good luck the rest of the season. Yeah. Congrats on an awesome finish, and I hope to see you on the podium soon, brother.
Thank y'all. Well, y'all have a good one.
Later, buddy. Take care, brother.
Peace. Jersey Mike's, dude. I love it. what a fun time. Thank you, Mr. Tipton, for joining us. That was awesome. I did not expect the Jersey Mikes, dude.
No, that was. I didn't expect a few things really, but
yeah. What were some things that were unexpected from you?
I don't know, the fact that he said that for a while he just like wasn't really throwing a lot of forehands and then started working it back into his game because it seems so effortless. So effortless. So I guess it makes sense that he's kind of in and out. He started with a forehand, went to a backhand. I think there have been a lot of players in general that's kind of start one way and inch into the other direction too.
Right. I wonder if he were to really go half and half and commit, because I think there were definitely, he stuck to his game plan. I will say one thing watching the coverage is there were holes, even on commentaries. You heard Zach Melton talking about it because he was on the card walking with him. And like he threw a quake off of one tee to a layup zone when everyone else was throwing huge backhand turnovers. And I forget what hole it was. Calvin threw a sky shot over everything. And Sully walked up, threw a forehand quake, and Zach said he turned around and looked at the crowd and was like, I meant to do that. That was on purpose. Because people were like, what is this guy doing? So, I mean, sticking to your game plan on a lead card, playing for thousands of dollars, and he stuck to it and did that at his age and as such a new, this is his third Pro Tour event. Like, what? So really cool to see him sticking to it. And man, I mean, if anything, maybe he'll just go pro in pickleball and just pop off there too. That's absolutely so cool to be like, hey, here's a disc. It's got your sport on it. It's got my name on it. Here you go. Like, what?
It's a fun bridge, you know? And they're both like tiny but super fast growing sports.
And people are obsessed with them.
Yeah. This is true. And you can play it at almost any age.
Right.
It's cheap. Relatively, you know,
true.
A lot of good comparisons there.
A lot of good comparisons for sure. Well, thank you again, Sully, for joining us. When we return, we're going to hear from Shasta Criss from Wisdom from the Ancients, a segment where we're going to get to hear what he's thinking about something on a course, and looking forward to hearing what he has to say. You're listening to Park Podcast. We'll be right back. All right, let's hear from Shasta Criss on this week's Wisdom from the Ancients.
What are my mental game top tips? I would say develop a routine and stick to it. I think that's a very important factor on being mentally strong. Just trying to do it the same way over and over. That way you can kind of go on autopilot and get your brain out of the way. Enjoy your surroundings. You know, we play disc golf out in nature. You know, take your time to look around, see what's beautiful out there. I think it'll help you be in a more relaxed state and help you play better disc golf. Breathe. It's a very important one, you know. It's a pretty amazing stress reliever. If you find yourself anxious about a shot, or maybe standing in the fairway, or maybe something bad happened, you had to roll away or spit out, you find your heart rate increased, you know, focus on taking some deep breaths. It's amazing what it can do to you, you know. And why do we all play disc golf? Have fun out there, you know? It's easy to go down that rabbit hole of taking yourself too seriously and letting things get to you, but, you know, try to go the other direction. Focus on having fun. Encourage your card mates are throwing good shots, and, you know, then it's going to rub off on you. So, hope that helps.
First of all, that was a vibe. That was an absolute vibe.
Yeah, I could sit on that beat for a little minute.
We need to use that for the intro, outro of the podcast this week. Let's do it, please. Let's mix it up. Let's get a little of that in there. Man, so good. I love hearing from Shasta. If you haven't listened to the episode we had Shasta on, definitely go back. If you're here on Spotify or Apple, go ahead and leave us a review. If you're on YouTube, definitely go back here on DGA's YouTube channel, because it was awesome. Because the whole episode was just little clips throughout that, just like that. I've gone back and listened to it a couple times just to hear that again.
Some really good tips.
What was some things that stuck out to you there when the mental game there?
Yeah, routine. So this is something that I don't know. Back in the day when I was first playing tournaments, and even today, like I still get some jitters. And I was watching some videos and I saw a Scott Stokely video, and he was like, "Hey, think about it this way. If you come to a tournament and you are you're like, jogging and you're doing these things like stretching and throwing, 30 shots, forehand and backhand that you don't normally do before a round. It's like you're tricking your body into like thinking that this is a totally different thing.
Hmm.
If your way to warm up is to show up 5 minutes before your round, throw 4 putts, stretch your hamstrings, and then let it rip, you might just want to stick to that routine. Like that is your routine. And so that's something that I've actually given a lot of thought to, is to like do the same thing every time I play, whether it's a tournament round or whether it's just a casual round, and trying to like train my body that like once we finish these things, it's time to go.
Yep. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you think about how many times do you hear on like, oh, how to be more productive, how to have better sleep, have a routine. People that go, oh, don't have a television in your bedroom so that when you go in your room, all your body knows to do is this is where you sleep. And if I could do that and say, I step on the green within 10 meters and all you do is make that putt.
Yeah.
I need to figure out that routine. I need to sell that on or a monthly subscription. But yeah, I mean, that's huge. Routine is everything. And full confidence, Zach, you know this about me. I'm the weird guy that's going to do all the stretches and I'm going to warm up. And I mean, I played high level soccer. I played through high school and college, and like I had a routine and I had a stretching. I was so used to that. And I miss that. That's part of disc golf I miss is the team aspect of it. And like warming up together and like doing that. So, I mean, I still do it. I get to the course, I do a whole warm up every single time. If I'm playing for a Tuesday night league or I'm just going to test discs, I stick to that routine. It's huge. Definitely find one that works. For me, I loved hearing him say enjoying nature, but the big thing is to breathe. That's something I have added into my shot. And in this past weekend, and I guess 2 weeks ago, this is my second bigger tournament of the year. And I walk on the tee pad now. I take I lay my hands kind of next to my side, just like in a position to like receive kind of thing. I'm just like open hands with a disc in one hand. And I stand there on the tee pad. I take a clarifying breath and I physically smile. I stand on the tee pad and like a weirdo, I full teeth smile and just take a breath and be like, man, I'm going to throw a disc and this is going to be awesome. And like resetting and using that breath to just like clarify like whatever stress is going on, forget about the other hole and use breathing to relax, but also to focus. So I think that's so important. And you hear pros that, I mean, somebody that comes to mind is Kevin Jones. If you ever watch him putt, he literally takes a big breath. And when he putts, he releases that breath and uses that energy to, I mean, make the craziest straddle putts ever. But it's a big thing. So breathing is huge. And I love that he was saying, enjoy nature. We get to play. I mean, you see the PDGA ads, we get to play in beautiful places. And we get to do that. Like we could be playing in these nasty places, but disc golf courses are usually in some pretty awesome parks, and they're in places you would you would not go to if you weren't playing disc golf.
Yeah. It's also like when you're in the middle of a round, it's really easy to get like put on blinders and just think like I'm walking down the path. I'm going to get to my disc, and you get to your disc and now it's time to putt, and I'm going to make my putt. And now I'm on the next tee pad, and I'm on the next tee pad, and I'm throwing my drive. And you really do forget to just kind of open things up. And honestly, like I'll do this a lot of the time. It's in the fairway. I'll just stop, just look at the trees, look at the sky, listen to the birds, like realize that you're in a really beautiful place, usually on a pretty beautiful day. Now, sometimes it's not a beautiful day. I get that, but it is a very, very important thing just to every now and then step out of the game.
Yep.
And just put yourself as a tiny little speck on this earth, because the perspective really can kind of like clear your mind, especially if you're having a bad round or if you're getting caught up on like a bad throw. There's I'll end with this. The Japanese have, I don't know the name of the term, but there's a term in Japanese for bathing in the trees. It's like just as important to like bathe your body as it is to bathe your soul. And the way to bathe your soul is by being in nature and being in the trees. Love it. So it's a blessing to be out there. Can't forget that.
Yep. And as Gage, our producer here, has it. Shinrin Yoku.
Shinrin Yoku.
There you go. To bathe in the trees. I was going to go the opposite direction and say, at least we don't play in like a smelly high school gym, like pick up basketball. You know what I mean? Like we could be there, we could be at your local YMCA, but no, we're in beautiful trees. So if you're in Yoku, go practice that. Thanks for listening to Parked Podcast. Follow us over on Instagram, hit that like and subscribe button here on DGA's YouTube channel, and leave us a review. Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to us, we're thankful for it. And we're going to keep moving forward. We got some big things coming with Parked, with DGA. Head over to discgolf.com and pick up some discs. Use code PARKED, and you can get a discount there over at checkout. Thank you guys so much. And Zach, you want to sign us off like we always do?
Thanks for being here, everybody. Keep it simple.
No, dang it. No.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Peace, love, and disc golf, everybody.
Peace, love, and disc golf. Deuces.